Hey everyone, it is time to begin. Come on, this is going to be a good one. Well, hey, I'm just inviting up Jokerace Co-Founder David Phelps up here on stage. Um, and the good convo is about to begin. We're going to touch on all things Jokerace. What is V3? What is different from V1? What is different from V2? Um, so yeah, we're going to have all that information plus information on the contest that we're going to have, the width that we're going to have. But the man, the myth, the legend himself, David Phelps, is here on stage. David, how are you doing today, sir? Welcome to the LI.FI stage.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Hey, how am I sounding,
Perfect.
by the way?
You sound good. You sound good.
Wonderful. Well, hey, David, it's so great just to have you join the LI.FI stage. Our community has just been so excited to hear about Jokerace V3 and all we're going to talk about. But I was just wondering, before we dive into that convo, could you just let us know exactly your role at Jokerace? And yeah, what do you do there? And a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm co-founder of Jokerace. This is the third company that I have started. And I guess I do all the non-technical stuff. So I do the easy stuff. So I design, I do the BD, I do the communications, and yeah, and and a lot of the kind of conceptual work, I guess, is how you find it. So easy stuff is my jam.
Nice. Yeah. I'm also pretty non-technical. And I always told myself in another life, I'd really love to be a dev if I ever get the chance. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm also quite
If I
non-technical.
get the talent, I would like to do that too. You know, if I get the skills and the talent and the intelligence and the
Yeah.
smarts, yeah, then absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, shout out to all the technical uh bros and chicks here in the chat and in the community. We respect you guys, and shout out to the non-technical guys too. Well, hey, it's V3 launch of Jokerace, and some people might have been hearing about it for the first time. Some may have been fortunate to hear about it with the V1 and V2. So, David, I was just wondering,
Yep.
could you give us an introduction and overview of the platform? Like, what's your ethos and
Yep.
mission behind Jokerace?
Yeah, so we're a platform to make, execute, and reward decisions. So any community can use this as a decision-making platform. And the way this works is that you launch a contest. And so with a contest, you put a prompt to a community, and then people can respond to the prompt, and then people can vote on their favorite responses, and then the winners can earn rewards as well. So you can use this for anything like, hey, who do we want to elect to be our delegate? Or like, who do we want to add to the multi-sig? And a bunch of people respond to say, who they want, and then a bunch of people vote, right? And then the winners are, automatically, can get added to the multi-sig, or they can get, rewards for that as well. And so it has a lot of different use cases, because you can imagine using this for hackathons, right? A bunch of people submit projects, and then just a jury votes on their favorites. So any sort of like award ceremony, things like that, it can be useful for. But you can also imagine using it for stuff like governance. So, you have a proposal you want to put to community, people all submit amendments, vote on their favorite version of that. That's the proposal that goes out. Stuff like bounties. You say like, I want to build something. Who wants to build this? A bunch of people submit why they should be able to build it. You vote on your favorite one, they automatically get the bounty to go and build it as well. And so it just has a lot of different applications. And then there's a lot of like really fun ways to use it too, for stuff, like contests like games, where you could be like, what do we think the best way is to solve, this political issue? And a bunch of people can all vote on it. Or, what's your favorite joke? And you can do that, which is how the whole thing started. And so, a lot of different options just for building community in a really fun way, where people can like compete against each other. So like chains, can use it to be like, what's your favorite NFT community? And then all the NFT communities will all compete with each other to try to win and earn, the rewards that are put up for that. So yeah, that's how it works, is contests. And really, our goal is really to just expand the ways that anyone can make decisions, and then earn a lot, earn financially from that through the rewards pool, but also earn, social ability to collaborate with each other, and then reputation as well. That can be really, really powerful on chain, and offering a lot of like future opportunities. So you can imagine, right? If you do a hackathon and you contribute to a project, and Vitalik is on the jury, and Vitalik votes for your project, like even if you don't win that hackathon, you have this on-chain, right, attestation that Vitalik thought you were valuable. And you imagine like all the airdrops of the future, when they're looking at data and thinking, hey, who do we want to reward, who's an actual builder, who's provided value to our ecosystem. Stuff like those kinds of attestations that are on chain are really, really powerful, and just something that wasn't possible in an off-chain universe. So I'll stop there. That's the shell for what we're building.
Hey, yeah, it's great to hear that overview. I guess when I think of like Jokerace, I really think of it as like the one-stop shop, or the one place where, we can relook at how decision-making, contest, and governance looks like in Web3 at the moment. Because I know that was something that was kind of big for you guys with your V3 launch. So, what's
Yep.
kind of changed with this launch? Because now you guys are doing,
Yeah.
or should I say, you're relooking governance in a post-token world for projects. So can you
Yeah.
share like
Yeah.
how the V3 enables that?
Yeah. So the way it works is you can decide who submits to a contest, and you can decide who votes. And those might be the same people, like the example I gave of like, make an amendment to this constitution, and everyone amends it, and then they vote in their favor. It's the same group. But it could also be, different groups where you could have the voters be a subset or a different group altogether. It's like the hackathon example I gave, right? A bunch of people submit, anyone can submit a project, but only that jury of 5 people can vote. And so, our goal all along has always been like, how do we let you customize however you want in terms of who can submit during the submissions period and who can vote in the voter period. And what we did for the V3 is we got rid of token voting completely. So traditionally, the way that governance has always been done on chain is people use tokens to vote. And what we did is we said, actually, you don't need that. You can just have an allow list of on-chain addresses, and then those are the people who can vote. And so you don't need to mint a token, you don't need to bridge a token. And what's really cool about this is like, if you do have a tokenized community, so like let's say you have an NFT community on like mainnet Ethereum, you can just pull the allow list of all those addresses, and then you can run all of your governance contest process on any EVM chain that you want. So you can run it on Optimism, you can run it on Polygon, you can run it on Arbitrum, you can run it, on any EVM chain. And so it's really a way where, we've now enabled tokenized communities to be able to operate really cheaply, really easily, fully on chain with all those benefits I talked about of the financial, social, reputational rewards. What it also means is like, you don't necessarily need to have a token to run a community either. You could actually base it on like social action. So you could be like, hey, anyone who's ever provided liquidity to our protocol, you are the people we want to be able to make decisions and earn rewards, because like we have seen that you are the people who actually built out our community. And so you don't need to give them a token. You can actually just go to your builders in your ecosystem who have actually done real valuable work and reward them as well with something like this. And you could even get to the point where you can think about off-chain actions, like, hey, anybody who follows me on Twitter gets to participate in this. And as they join something like a guild that matches their their Twitter account to their on-chain address, proves that they follow you on Twitter, and then you export those addresses, and now you've allow listed that too. And so it just creates a whole new way of building community where it can be based around social behaviors and like actions that people have performed online, rather than around whether or not they own a token. And so we're really excited because we think it's a huge unlock for tokenized communities, but it also enables all of these new types of communities that are not tokenized to exist and operate for the first time.
Yeah, I think like whether you're tokenized or you're not, like in a multi-chain world, now you're able to contribute and we can have a fair distribution of voting and governance. So I think it's kind of refreshing in the space to see what you guys are doing. And if we're talking about the topic of it being a refreshment to the space and governance and voting and how we kind of engage our multi-chain community in this, let's talk about what the model looked like before for voting and governance
Yep.
in Web3 and why you guys felt the need to replace this. You kind of spoke about
Yeah.
the how, but can you let us know about the why?
Yep. Yeah. So traditionally, the way that governance has been done is the same way that we're used to doing it in countries. And so the way it works in countries is like, there's a limited, set of options, and we vote on our favorite one. And so the way that we have expression is through our voting, right? It's not through proposing the options in the first place. So we don't get to propose who we want to be president. We just get to vote on whoever the options are that are out there. And that's the same thing that, it's been done in Web3, which is a core team will put a proposal to a community, and then everyone from the community gets to vote to say yes or no. But at no point in that process does the community actually have say, right? They don't actually have say to like amend the proposal or to submit their own proposal, right? Or to have their own creative contribution as well. It's always been done this way, where it's like shareholder governance or like governments, where it's like the core team puts a proposal to a wider community, and the only way that the community has say is through voting, not through submitting. And so from day one, our goal is to say, wait, this is absurd. When you're running a country of 300 million people, you can't afford to let everybody submit options. But when you're running a community of 10 or 100 people, it's really important to actually have their voice actively involved, right? And so, like, let's build
Mhm.
something where you get total control over that. If you want to do governance the old-fashioned way, you can do that. But you can also flip it, and you can let a bunch of people submit and just a few people vote, right? And so our goal has always been like, how do we expand the options of who gets to submit and participate as widely as possible in a thoughtful way? And so going tokenless is just really an extension of that goal, right? It's to say, like, let's give you maximum customization when you create a contest in terms of who you allow list. For who gets to submit and who gets to vote. So you can expand that pool and do governance in this way that actually lets people participate thoughtfully and contribute value through their ideas, not just through their vote.
Yeah, it's a great goal to have. I guess, like on the one hand, it's good to allow like different opinions and submissions to come through and to actually allow for that. But on the other hand, it's good to if a bunch of community members hold a bunch of tokens, it doesn't really say too much about the community members themselves. But if perhaps the allow list
No,
is made up of community members that have different types of credentials for on-chain and off-chain actions, you kind of get a more valuable vote, or because you're setting that allow list for who can submit or who can verify, you're kind of having the right type of people submitting in the right type of fields and context, right?
totally. That's exactly the thesis.
Yeah, so I think like for communities and projects, and for DAOs, this kind of steers in the right direction where we get a more level playing field where it can be fair and we can really be more inclusive, but inclusive in the right way with the right type of key individuals per allow list. Let's talk about the creators a little bit. I myself am a creator. Just reflecting a little here, created
Yeah,
a couple of campaigns, dropping some alpha, but we might have some
cool.
future creators here in the chat. What are the tools in the toolkit for the creators on your platform? What different types of
Yeah,
content
yeah.
can we create?
Yeah, so it depends what kind of creator you are, but you can imagine, if you're like, a musician, you can put a track to a community and say, hey, remix this track, and I'm gonna vote on my favorite remix, and then we'll mint that as an NFT and share credit on it, and that'll be our work together. And now, right, or we'll give, $1,000 to the winner. And now people are really incentivized to start, working with your content, remixing it, interacting with it, right? And what's interesting is like we've actually seen this already being done off chain. Like Fred again, is like probably the biggest DJ right now. Does these kind of contests all the time, but there's no way to add rewards to it or for Fred again to actually monetize. And I think we haven't built this yet. But one thing we're excited by is like the ability to even let people pay to participate in these contests. And so everybody submits $10 to participate, and then the winner gets 80% of the rewards pool, but the creator gets like 20%, right? And so you can start imagining these ways where it's like if you're a creator, you can actually monetize from your community by like letting them pay in to try to win. And meanwhile, everyone is campaigning, interacting, playing with your content, thinking about your content in a meaningful way, right? And so there's versions of this where it's like if you run a podcast, you can go to your community and be like, who do you want me to have on my podcast? Like Rehash does this, right? If you run a newsletter, you could be like, what topics do you want me to cover? Like Packy McCormick did that, with us as well. And so you can just use it to get a lot of data from your community, which is just really really valuable. But also while incentivizing them to engage more with each other in campaigning and thinking about your work, and then sharing it online as well, right? Because they want to win, they're going to start campaigning for themselves too, and so it can be a really really good marketing tool to build traction for yourself too as a creator as well.
Yeah, that's really great. There's so many different types of contests that one can run on the Jokerace platform, which is really cool because there's things like grants, hackathons, and bounties that you can do. And you shilled Jokerace in the beginning of the AMA, so I just want to shill it a little bit as well. I think it's a good
Thank
time in the
you.
chat to drop in that and just tell the community about one of our contests that's running. So hey guys, so we have this contest where you get to, and we'll have an announcement right after this AMA at 4:30 that goes out. We'll have the links, but where you get to like submit different LI.FI product features and requests that you have, and the top four requests are going to get $100 each. And what we're kind of thinking long term with these product features and requests that you can do is that we'd like to have a hackathon where we put it in your hands to build it, and we'd love to reward you for what's been suggested too. So that's just like my little skill in this AMA as well. I have one more question for creators before we
There's
talk
some
about.
rewards up
Yeah,
there
sure.
too, right? Yeah, yeah.
Oh
I don't know
yeah,
if you want to
for that.
say how much you put
Oh
up for
yeah,
the
let's go.
rewards. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. So we've got $400 in the reward pool for that, split between $100 each for the top four product features that were voted by an allow list of our community. So if you wanna contribute to maybe our product roadmap and maybe stand a chance of getting 25% of the rewards pool, you should definitely watch out for our announcements on our Twitter and Discord straight after this AMA. But I wanted to ask one more question about creators. What constitutes for a good kind of contest, and what constitutes for bad contest on the platform? To summarize, maybe
yeah.
what shouldn't creators do?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what, we really see this as is like it's almost like user generated advertising, if I can say that. It's really building towards a user generated content future where fans want to be more actively involved with their creators and engaged, right? And so building maximum engagement is really important. So of course the prompt itself really matters in terms of like, what you're unlocking your community to do creatively. And if you make it really easy for them to respond, then you're going to get a lot more traction, but not necessarily high quality. And if you make it really hard to respond, you'll get a lot more high quality, but not as much traction. And so that's a little bit of the trade-off that you always want to think about, right? I think is step one. But then what I think you really want to think about is like, how are they incentivized to one, build relationships with each other so that they're building a stronger community? So, if there's ways where they can find each other, they can like share votes with each other, they can all try to like campaign to one another, then you're creating a more cohesive community as well, right? I think that the social piece is one. Making sure that they know the reputational piece is really important. Because this is on-chain data, you are building out reputation in terms of social graphs, like who tends to vote for the same thing, right? But you're also building out reputation in terms of the attestations you get. If someone votes for you, even if you don't win this contest, that shows that you provided value to this community in a way that can be rewarded down the line. Not necessarily financially rewarded, but it might give you access to other opportunities and drops if we know you're a valuable, real creator who contributed something meaningful, right? Leaning on that and letting people know the value of building on-chain reputation, I think is really important. Having financial rewards always helps, right? If people know that they are actually competing for a prize, that's going to make a difference. It's going to tend to make them do higher quality work, and be incentivized to actually submit in the first place, right? But I think the really key one to lean on, like most of all, is thinking how are they going to campaign publicly for this contest on social media to drive a lot of traction to you? Like, how is this going to take over Twitter, right? So that everyone is talking about it. And strategies there, I would say, is like usually try to have like at least a 1 week period for submissions and a 1 week period for voting. Every day, go on social media, talk about what's going on in the contest, tag people, right? This is who submitted. Here's a really cool idea. Like, let people know that this is active and it's happening. And when you start doing that and you're tagging them, then they're going to also retweet. They're going to share the content as well. And then during the voting period, have a leaderboard every day where you're just going on social media. You're like, here's the leaderboard, tag everybody, and they're all going to go to town, right? Like, retweeting it, sharing it, etc., to try to
Mm-hmm.
campaign as well. And so really building in like those strategies so that your community is doing your distribution for you, right? They are advertising you, like they are trying to build traction for you and for this contest. Like that's really, really the key thing. A lot of the success really comes down to social media strategy. I would say that's a really, really big piece of it.
Great tips, man. Great tips. I guess like I'm even learning quite a bit as you're sharing those tips. I've been jotting it down on my iPad on the side, just making sure that I've got
Amazing.
some of that
Yeah.
taken down. We've spoken like a lot and about preparing for a contest, the different types of contests that are available on Jokerace and the benefits of it. But let's shift more towards the post-contest period for the
Yep.
projects. Well, how can
Yep.
teams and projects best leverage this data collected from the participants, and what would be the best way to leverage that data?
Yeah, so it's fully on-chain data, right? Which is cool because you can just literally build Dune dashboards to analyze data from your contest. And so there's a lot of cool things that you're going to learn from that data, right? Like one is if you said, what's our feature request? Well, now you're going to get 100, responses, let's say, and you get the full list of like what your community prioritizes. You also get to see how much they prioritize it, right? Do they like really prefer option number one to option number two? It gets like 8 times as many votes, or is it pretty close, right? And so you're getting this like prioritization, like that data is the first piece that you get that's really helpful. The second piece you get is just who participates, right? Seeing who's actually voting, who gets votes, who's submitting. All of that is like building traction to be like, hey, these are the early participants in our ecosystem, right? And again, to make sure you're not getting botted, a big piece of it is who you allow list. But also thinking like, if you have a good jury that is voting, then those attestations will be really meaningful. Where anybody who got a vote from a legitimate jury is therefore a legitimate builder as well, right? And so you're getting that data of like who's active, how active are they, right? Then you get the data of like, how often do they win? Is this someone who's consistently winning or consistently proposing a good idea and is consistently popular, right? And that's a power user that you might want to lean on and you might want to reward or get in touch with, etc. Right? Then you get the social graphs. You get to see, you can analyze the data to say who tends to vote on the same things together. Yeah, this number 10 option never wins, but it tends, it's always the same voters are always voting for the same thing. That means they're really passionate about it and they should probably know each other and form a sub community as well. And so you start to see like these like social graphs of your sub communities, who have like different interests. And you might say, hey, they're really passionate about this thing. It's not mainstream, but it definitely has a lot of passion. And so maybe I need to play into my community that way and give them some support there. Right, as well. And then the final thing is the reputation we talked about in terms of the attestations themselves of saying, hey, I'm a meaningful builder. Like I contributed something meaningful to this contest. I got a vote for it from a great jury. That's an attestation that I actually provided value. And I really think, the future of airdrops is going to be that kind of data. It can't be botted. It's qualitative. It's really, based on legitimacy of saying, not just that I'm a real person, but that I've actually contributed real value as well.
Yeah, 100%. Some really key benefits, post contest that we all should consider, and kind of like leverage and make best use of. And what about successful customer acquisition and retention, post
Yeah,
contest, during contest? We know that's big
yeah,
for you guys. So, yeah, can you
yeah.
can you speak on that a bit?
Yeah, so I think this is a really valuable tool in terms of almost as a marketing approach. So for example, if you said like the Li-Fi contest, what feature do you want us to build? Well, now what are you getting out of that? You're getting all the data on what features you want people to build, right? You're getting all the social graphs I talked about. You're getting all the reputation I talked about. Know who the important people are in your community, who's commanding votes, who actually participates a lot. So you're getting a lot of really, really meaningful data on your community from that, as a marketing campaign. And so the spend for that, is getting you that data. But what it's also doing is, it can incentivize actions that your community is performing on your behalf. So for example, if you said you have to follow us on Twitter to be able to participate, now people are incentivized to follow you on Twitter, right? Or complete a quest, or have used your protocol before. If you said, give us an interesting use case of how you've used us this month, now you're incentivizing people to do something that's interesting with your protocol in order to try to win the contest as well, right? And then finally, again, that piece I keep coming back to, the campaigning, right? If you really make this a fun thing where people are competing and they're trying to get votes and they're being tagged on social media and they are going and sharing that to try to campaign publicly for votes, they're drawing a lot of attention to your project as well. And so it's all those different pieces, right, that you're getting for that kind of spend, and putting up a reward. It's all the data you're getting, and it's all the incentives that you're giving to your community to market you as well.
Yeah, it's invaluable. It's really invaluable. It's something that no matter what the reward pool is, I feel like as a creator, you're always going to get so much more out of it, and like your product offerings and community would just be so much better for it. Can anyone be a creator on the platform? Is that gated at the
Yes.
moment?
Nope. Nope. So the beauty of what we built is it's actually a no-code smart contract deployment tool. And what I mean by that is when you create a contest on our site, you're actually creating a smart contract with the parameters that you selected in terms of when is voting open, when is submissions open, what's the description, etc. And so you actually are deploying that to whatever chain you're connected to in your wallet. And what's beautiful about this is it really embraces all the ideals of crypto. It's fully permissionless. Anybody can use this tool to deploy a contract, and it's permissionless really on any EVM chain. So you can connect to any chain you want, and you can deploy it there. And this is, really, really in keeping, I think, with the ideals of decentralization and permissionlessness that are so core to crypto. Is really how we built it. So yes, anybody can go and create a contest. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to create a contest. And I could say if you want to just do this for fun, go to jokerace.xyz, create a contest, and share it with your friends. Just experiment, just to see what it's like, and it'll just take a few minutes just to play around with it. You can also find contests on the site that you can participate in and win rewards for as well.
I mean, that's great, just having that open door approach to literally anyone and everyone, I think is great because so often we see platforms where there's certain requirements before you can like put something out there. So I think this like is really, really great just to get people testing it out and seeing how great it is. I am aware that we only have like a minute left. So I was just wondering if
Yeah.
you could maybe touch on what's up on your roadmap coming up at Jokerace, and also
Yep.
any last thoughts or things that maybe we didn't discuss that you'd like to drop here while we have just under 900 in the chat?
Cool. Yeah, so I'll say quickly, we're really working on building out the social piece. So like being able to add stuff like comments and images, things like that is really important. But most of all, really trying to make it easier than ever to, play in a contest. I think the biggest challenge that people face right now, which is something very close to LI.FI, is not having the gas fees to pay. So even if it's 2 cents to submit or to vote on Polygon, you have to have Matic in your wallet, and not everyone has that. And so what we're thinking a lot about is, what are the ways that you could pre-fund the contest, or you could, pay in any token and swap, which, of course, that's LI.FI's key proposal. So I will say also just, to show LI.FI here for a second, like as someone building in the space and seeing what the issues are that actual consumers have, the ability to swap and transact between tokens is a UI UX problem that is probably the number one issue that we're facing right now. And so stuff like LI.FI is just, I think, a really massive unlock for the ecosystem because of that too. So yeah, I'll stop there. I can stick around for another minute or two if anybody wants to ask me any questions.
Ooh, awesome. Yeah, well, we're looking forward to partnering and building and solving those UX issues, which we know are out there. We do have one requesting to speak. So hey, you guys, I'm just going to talk a couple of moments on the other campaign that we're launching. We just put out a tweet, by the way, and we'll announce it on Discord after this more info. But think of a question and request to speak in the meantime. But we're also pretty pumped about this contest that we just released now. It's to design a one-of-one jumper exchange hoodie. Hey, submit your designs. This is for all you creative people out there. Submit some designs on the platform. We're going to vote for the best hoodie. We're going to send you the hoodie. We're going to tokenize on chain the hoodie, and we're going to give you a jumper OG role in our guild and in our server. So two great contests rolling out right now as we speak, thanks to David Phelps and his team at Jokerace. We do have Ika. I'm going to invite Ika. Sorry if I botched your name there, up on stage to ask a question. So when you get on, you can just unmute yourself and ask away. And yeah, you guys don't have to have stage fright. You guys can just hop on here, and I promise we don't bite. See that she's not really popping on. Okay, yeah, here's one of our beta testers, quite active. Hey, so welcome to the stage. Always good to have you on here. Do you want to share your question to David? Are you muted at the moment? Do you want to try?
What
Oh,
about
there you
now?
go. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can
sorry.
hear. We
Thank
can
you.
hear you now.
Thank you. My question is, how are they going to find a way to manage when the community feel like use for the creators? For example, I just, if you see Twitter right now, everybody's like angry because of this linear situation for the NFT. How are they going to like manage that? How are you gonna make like rules clearer from the beginning?
Yeah. So I'm actually not familiar with the Linea NFT situation. You might have to fill me in, but the beauty of building something on a blockchain is that everything is 100% transparent. So our job on the site is to render all of that and to be as transparent as possible. But yeah, if you see someone is giving away $10 as a reward to one person and then trying to get thousands of people to participate, I think it's pretty clear up front. That's not really someone who's running a particularly great contest, right? And so all the rules are really, firmly established. We present them really clearly. They're on the blockchain as well. So you know what you're getting involved in when you participate in a contest completely.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with that. Yeah, actually, you should know that from the beginning. But always you have the problem that with people like kind of like start to speculating.
Sorry, I think
Oh,
you
you
got
got
cut off. What was
muted.
that?
You got to unmute yourself again. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I was telling you like that's okay. That's true. I'm sorry because I am outside right now, but
Yeah,
I
no
am
worries.
just I tried to get into a place, so I was walking. So
I think
yeah,
you muted again.
I
Yeah.
always use the time, with the Amas for to make a little walk, and I wasn't expecting that I was able to talk. So sorry about the noise.
No,
No
it's
worries.
okay.
No
Hey,
worries.
thanks for coming on. So great to have you as one of our beta testers. Well, hey, David, I think maybe we answered a lot of questions that the community might have had. I don't see too many more hands risen at the moment. So yeah, I think if no one else is there, that brings us to the conclusion of this. I also just want to say before we end this that there's so many other great contests on the Jokerace platform. You don't just have to partake in the ones that we put out there. Like really see what's out there, see what you can contribute well to, and really get involved. But David from the LI.FI team, it's just been a pleasure to host this AMA and also partner for the V3 launch. So I just want to say thank you for inviting us to partner for the platform and making time to come out to spend with our community today.
Super excited. We just launched this week, and you're basically the really one of the first 3 or 4 projects to use it. So really excited for this. And yeah, if anyone ever has any questions, you can follow us at Jokerace XYZ and always just DM us. And thanks so much again for the time. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, hey everyone, that's all we have today for an AMA at the LI.FI stage. Thank you so much for tuning out, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, everyone. Cheers, David.
Cheers, everyone.